Hi everyone, I'm Maria Ramil. I'm here to deliver the speech of Indra Nooyi. Indra Nooyi is an Indian-American business executive, former chairman and chief executive officer of PepsiCo company. She was named the best CEO in the world by CEO World magazine. Let's move on to the speech. The bolder we can be, the better, the more we can break the rules. Because the world is full of ideas today. If we don't do it, somebody else will do it. In fact, I would say, little startups are capturing a lot of growth today. Even in our space, even in the food and beverage, so many ways in our company. We have to act as if we are a bunch of little startups. In order to do that, we are supposed to allow people to be bold. Write the rules any way they want. That's what they are doing in our company. Every issue we are facing today is long-term in nature, which requires systematic solutions when we have political cycles that are short-term in nature. The question here is, who is going to address these issues? We are looking everything through a microscope. We have got to look at the microscope and the telescope. From my perspective, that is the only strategy I know and the only strategy I knew. If my board, my investors wouldn't have liked that, I wouldn't be sitting here with you today. Our CEOs should be lifelong students. Student not just in the sense of attending courses or reading a book or two. They have to learn how to read widely, walk the market, look at the trends in the marketplace, and make connections that don't seem obvious, and start to paint pictures of the future, and then observe the consumer behavior. Our CEOs today not only has leadership skills or IQ, there is a healthy dose, that is EQ, the emotional side. Because young people today wants to work for the company who cares for them and who really feels connected to the company. And it is really and critically important that we humanize the CEO. We have removed the barrier between the CEO and the front line, which needs a new skill too. Whatever you do, throw yourself into it. Throw your head, heart and hands into it. I look at my job not as a job. I look at it as a calling, as a passion. I don't care about hours. I don't care about the hardships. For me, everything is joy. So, whatever you do, look upon to it as a calling, as a passion, not as a job, not as something temporary. Well, on a relative basis, yes, I have had it all. Okay, on a relative basis, I'm very fortunate to have a wonderful husband and 2 great kids. And an awesome job with a great team. But to get here, to stay here, lot of trades-off, lot of sacrifices. But I had the strength to really power through these. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Today I'm here to present a declamation of a speech delivered by Charlie Chaplin in his movie The Great Dictator. The Great Dictator, the movie written, produced, directed, and starring Charlie Chaplin, premiered on October 15, 1940, while the United States was still promoting appeasement with Nazi Germany. The film was originally meant to satirize Adolf Hitler and condemn the Nazi Party and its rallies. Taking advantage of a great chaotic moment as the United States stood on the brink of entry into World War II, Charlie Chaplin uses the medium of film, and more specifically the Great Dictator speech, to lament the pessimism, violence, and greed that had overtaken the free and beautiful way of life that is inherent in human nature. So now, let's get on with the declamation. I'm sorry, I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black and white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world, there's room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We've developed speed, but we've shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives us abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical. Our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent and all will be lost. The airplane and the radio have brought us together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for universal brotherhood, for unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world, millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, the dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people. The hate of men will pass, and so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Don't give yourselves to these brutes, men who despise you, who enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think and what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines. You are not cattle. You are men. You have the law of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unallowed hate, the unallowed and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke, it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man, nor a group of men, but in all men. You the people have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. Then, in the name of democracy, let us use that power, let us all unite, let us fight for a new world, decent world, that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future, and the old age security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill the promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Ishma Michael and I am here to deliver the declamation about Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking was born on 8 January 1942. He was an English theoretical physicist and author and cosmologist. He was the director of the Research Center of Theoretical Cosmology at the Cambridge University at the time of his death. And he was famous for his work on black hole and the quantum theory. And he wrote a book named The History of Time. He was died on March 2018. I'm here to present some of his last few words about himself, his experience, and the humanity just before the time of his death. So I'm starting my declamation. At the age of 21, it became clear something was not quite right with me. I fell over and felt very difficulty in getting up. My mother took me to the hospital, and I had spent many weeks in Barton Hospital with many more tests. The doctor actually never told me what was the problem with me or the disease with me. But eventually, I was diagnosed with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, which was actually affected my neuron system. The doctor who diagnosed me washed off his hands of me, and he could feel that there is nothing to do with me. First, I feel very depressed, and then I feel that there is no any meaning. There is no any meaning on doing my research or completing my PhD, because there is no any confirmation that I will be living long to complete my PhD works. So first I feel very depressed. Then I came to Cambridge to do cosmology, which I was determined to do. And so, as slowly my condition has become more prettier. After all, my expectations has reduced to zero. I started to appreciating all the things that I have now and taken each and every day as a bonus for me. And there was a woman called Jane who lifted me up in this situation. I got engaged with her, and it increased my spirit, and I realized that when there is life there will be hope. She was actually a support for me, which she's a good support and a strength for me, and I could never imagine a life which I could be survived without her presence. And there are many plannings and experiments that is planned with me in the future. We will be mapping the billions of galaxies, and we will be understanding our position in the universe. But we must also continue to speak about some of few words about the humanity itself. I don't think that we will survive another 1,000 years without escaping beyond the fragile planet. It has been a glorious time I had been live along with this research in physics. We human, the fact that we human itself are the mere collections of fundamental practice of nature, have been able to come to close to knowing about that we should be govern the laws which rule our universe, not for the rules which created by ourselves. I believe that human spirit are the ones which have no any limits. And I'm a person who do not have the ability to speak, but I still speak with the help of my synthesizer. Thank you for my synthesizer. And how could we overcome these limits? Through our machines and our mindset. For this, I also do believe that the next war that will be happening in our future days will be the war for global warming, not for the war with the terrorism, because the global warming has the capacity to kill many more lives that we can predict. Because the climate is many more affected by the activities of ourselves. So we are here together. We should live together with tolerance and respect. We should not fight for anyone in the name of any race or anything. We should live with the things that we have now. We should always appreciate what we have done. And I'm very thankful. And I'm very happy that I have contributed a small portion to the universe in the form of the black hole and the theory, quantum theory and all. And always remember to look up on the stars and not down at your feet. Try to make sense of what you see and wonder about what make the universe exist. Be curious, and however difficult may be the life, there will be always something you can be succeeded. It matters that you just don't give up on anything. So always remember, while there is life, there will be hope. And I'm very sure that I will be remembered on my works and not on my wheelchair. So thank you, all of you.
Lisa Kudrow is an American actress, comedian, writer, singer, and producer. After making guest appearances in several television sitcoms in the 1980s, Kudrow came to international prominence in the 1990s, portraying Phoebe Buffay in the American sitcom Friends, which earned her Primetime Emmy and Screen Actors Guild Awards. Kudrow's biggest break came when she was cast as Phoebe Buffay, the lovable folk-singing massage therapist on the sitcom Friends. The show became an instant hit after premiering in 1994, and Kudrow went on to earn an Emmy Award in 1998 and a Screen Actors Guild Award in 2000 for her work on the primetime comedy. She also reprised her role as Ursula from Mad About You, who appeared on Friends as Phoebe's twin sister. During the 9th and 10th seasons of Friends, Kudrow, along with her female friends Courtney Cox and Jennifer Aniston, became the highest paid TV actresses of all the time, receiving $1 million per episode. Thank you all for inviting me to speak. I went here because you wanted to know about my experience. After graduating, and I understand that because the 20 years are that time in your life when you're really getting acquainted with your own self and how you respond to self-doubt when there is so much seemingly at stake. So let me reassure you, it is not supposed to be easy, but it doesn't have to be torture. They are supposed to have moments of uncertainty about which path to take because the 20 years are full of crossroads. How did I go from biology major to actress? That is the one question I am asked most frequently. When I was a kid, I did want to be an actress, but when I took biology in high school, I was hooked. The biological theories I learned to me were the height of creativity, so I pursued my passion for biology and wherever that would lead me. And after I graduated, that I was happily doing research with my father at the headache clinic, and it happened again and again and again. I'd be watching a sitcom and here saying myself, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that comedy walking things like these sitcom girls do. I entertained the idea of being an actress and then moved to justify the idea with them. And it was like, you're 22, you have no mortgage, no husband, no kids. By November of 1985, I declared that I would pursue my acting. My parents and family were thrilled for me, and that was the first and most important wonderful show of support I got. I was also nervous about my career choice because I didn't really care for actors. The only point of reference I had was seeing them on talk shows. I got cast as a serious regular on a show that I know would run forever because that is very well written. Jim Boris was the director and directing, and that was a big deal. After 2 days of rehearsal, I got fired. I got fired from Frazier, and the one everyone knew was going to be a hit, and it was. This time, it was really hard not to think that it wasn't meant to be my career as an actress. It was so embarrassing. This was my shot. I cried a lot, and one of my friend, I got a call from my friend Richard, who said, I heard what happened. I don't know how you even get up in the morning. How do you get out of bed, get dressed, walk out of the door and show your face? And that just made me laugh. That was crazy. I was getting up in the morning and leaving my apartment. So maybe I was coping better than I expected to. She said, I know it's hard to believe, but when one door closes or another door always opens, it really does. Yeah, I know it hard. I had heard that very clever saying before. She was right. I didn't believe it, but I never forget it. A couple of months later, I was almost out of money. After many auditions, I was the second person cast in the pilot called Friends Like Us, which would later be changed to Friends. Jim Boris also directed this pilot and the first 10 episodes of Friends. One of the 6 of us were talking together and with Jimmy, exchanging the time. I got 5 stories and Jimmy told them mine. Well, she's got the worst one of all. She got fired from Frazier. You weren't right for the part, darling. And then he said, well, it's a good thing you got fired, or you wouldn't have been on this show. He was right, and it was a good thing I didn't get Saturday Night Live. And I got fired from Frazier. I went to a birthday party and feeling like I had nothing at all to lose. I flirted with a guy who was out of my league. We dated, and on Thursday, Michael and I will have been married for 15 years. Yeah, that's the biggest achievement of all. And we will be celebrating with a 12-year-old son. Thank God I got fired. Maybe there is a reason for everything. I think there is. I truly wish you all the very best in whatever it is that you want. Thank you.
Hello, I'm going to deliver the speech delivered by American actor Leonardo DiCaprio. He's an actor, environmental activist, and a philanthropist. The speech is about climate change, delivered at the United Nations Climate Change Conference, and he was appointed by the United Nations Messenger of Peace by the Secretary General of United Nations, with special focus on climate change. The speech. Thank you, Mr. Secretary General, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and all other distinguished guests. I'm honored here today, not as an expert, but as a concerned citizen, one of 4 lakh people who walked in the streets of New York on Sunday, and all other people around the world who wants to solve this climate crisis. As an actor, I pretend for a living. I play fictitious characters, often solving fictitious problems. I believe mankind has also looked at climate change as if it were fiction, as if pretending that it might somehow make it go away. But I think we all know better than that. President Abraham Lincoln was also thinking about the bold action 150 years ago when he said, "The dogmas of the quiet past is inadequate for the stormy present. As our case is new, we must think anew and act anew. We must disenroll ourselves and then we shall save our country." He was speaking before the US Congress to confront the defining crisis of his time, slavery. Everyone knew it had to end, but no one had the political will to do so. Remarkably, his words ring as true as today when applied to the defining crisis of our time, climate change. The Nation Messenger of Peace have been traveling all around the world documenting how this crisis is affecting the natural balance of our planet. I've been to the cities like Beijing, choked by industrial pollution, ancient boreal forests in Canada that have been clear-cut, and in Indonesia, rainforests have been incinerated. In America, I witnessed unprecedented droughts in the streets of California and sea level rises in the streets of Miami. In India, I met farmers whose crops have been literally washed away by the historic flood. In Greenland and in Arctic, I was astonished to see that the ancient glaciers are rapidly disappearing well ahead of scientific predictions. All that I have seen and learned during my journey has absolutely terrified me. There is no doubt in the world scientific community that this is the direct results of human activity, and the effects of climate change will astronomically be worse in the future. I don't need to throw statistics at you because you know better than I do, and you know what will happen if this curse is left unchecked. Climate change is happening faster than the most pessimistic scientists have warned us decades ago. It has become a runaway freight train coming in with an impending disaster for all the living things. Now think of the shame each of us will carry when our children and grandchildren look back and realize that we had the means of stopping this devastation but simply lacked the political will to do so. Yes, we have achieved the Paris Agreement. More and more countries have come together to sign this agreement today than any other cause in the history of humankind, and this is a reason for hope. But the evidence shows us that this will not be enough. Our planet cannot be saved unless we leave the fossil fuels in the ground where they belong. An appalling and massive change is required now. We all know that reversing the course of climate change will not be easy, but the tools are in our hands if we use them wisely and before it's too late. Renewable energy, clean fuels, and putting a price on carbon pollution is beginning to turn the tide. This transition is not only the right thing for our world, but it also makes a good economic sense and is possible within our lifetime. We can congratulate each other today, but it will mean nothing if you return back to our countries and fail to push beyond the promises made on this historic agreement. Now is the time for the bold precedented action. My friends, look at the delegates around you. It's time to ask each other which side of the history you will be on. To be clear, this is not about telling people to change their light bulbs or buy a hybrid car. This disaster has gone beyond the choices an individual can make. This is upon to the governments and industries to make the large-scale action. As the citizens of this planet who has witnessed so much on this journey, I thank all of you what you have done to lay this foundation of the solution to the crisis. But after 21 years of debates and conferences, it's time to declare no more talk, no more excuses, no more 10-year studies, and no more allowing the fossil fuel companies to manipulate and dictate the science and policies that affect our future. This is the only body that can do what is needed. You sitting in this very hall. The world is now watching. You will be either be lauded by future generation or be vilified by them. Lincoln's words still resonate here us today. You will be remembered in spite of ourselves. The fiery trial through which we pass will lead us down in honor or dishonor to the last generation. We shall nobly save or meanly lose the last best hope of earth. This is our charge now. You are the last best hope of earth. We ask you to protect it, or we and all the other living things we cherish are history. Thank you.
Hello, I am Purnima Babu. I am doing the declamation of Professor Wangari Maathai. Wangari Maathai is the Kenyan social, political and environmental activist. She is the first African woman to receive the Nobel Prize. Your Majesties, Your Royal Highnesses, Honorable members of the Norwegian Nobel Committee, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. As the first African woman to receive this prize, I accept it on behalf of the people of Kenya, Africa and the world indeed. I am especially mindful of women and girl child. I hope it will encourage them to raise their voice and take more space for leadership. My inspiration is from my childhood experience and observations of nature in rural Kenya. As I was growing up, I witnessed forests were cleared and replaced by commercial plantations, which destroys the local biodiversity and the capacity of the forest to conserve water. In 1977, when we started the Green Belt movement, I was partly responding to the needs addressed by a rural woman, namely lack of firewood, clean drinking water, balanced diet, shelter and income. Throughout Africa, women are the primary caretakers, holding the significant responsibility to tilling the land and feeding their family. As a result, they are often the first to become aware of environmental damages as resources become scarce and they are incapable of sustaining their families. Tree planting became a natural choice to address some of the initial basic needs addressed by the women. Also, tree planting is simple, attainable and guarantees a quick, successful results within a reasonable amount of time. It sustains commitment and interest. Together we have planted over 30 million trees which provides fuel, food, income and shelter to support our children's education and provide employment. The activity also improves watershed and our soil. Even though initially Green Belt's movement tree planting activity did not address any issues of democracy and peace, it soon became clearer that a responsible governance of democracy is impossible without a democratic space. Therefore, the tree became a symbol of democratic struggles in Kenya. Today, over 30 years since we started this work, the activities that devastated humanity and environment continue unabated. We are faced with a challenge that calls a shift in our thinking so that humanity stops threatening its life support system. We are called here to assist the earth to heal her wounds and in the process to heal our own. Indeed, to embrace the whole creation in all its diversity, beauty and wonder. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. As I conclude, I reflect on my childhood experience that when I went to fetch water near the home, I visited a stream next to my home. I drink water straight from the stream because the water was very clear. Playing in the arrow roots, I tried in vain to pick up strands of frog's eggs, believing that they were beads. But every time when I put my little fingers under them, they began to break. Later, I saw thousands of tadpoles, black, energetic, and wriggling through the clean water against the brown background of earth. This was the earth I inherited from my parents. Today, over 50 years later, the stream has dried up. Women walks longer distance for water, which is not always clean. The challenge is to restore the tadpole's hope and give back to our children a world of beauty and wonder. Thank you very much.